was there because I was there because I am frequently asked by the State Department to go to countries around the world to talk to women about women's empowerment and share some of the knowledge that I have about what works to empower women from my almost 20 years working with trying to get women into political leadership. And so I went to Ukraine in 2017, but I've been lucky enough to go all around the world and speak to really varied groups of women and men in countries everywhere. And I wanted just to start out by telling you all that about a year before I had my really wonderful trip to Ukraine, I found myself in Moscow at an America House doing a training for a group of women and men. And I'm only talking about this because in my mind, when I think about Ukraine, I go back to that trip to Moscow, and the contrast was so sharp. And I want to tell you just one really short anecdote. I was speaking to this group and talking about the need to have women in power, the need to start young in encouraging women to see themselves as leaders, talking about how countries will change if we have women in all sorts of leadership positions, and especially in what our topic is today, talking about peace and security, how important it is to have women in those positions of power. And when I was done, an older man raised his hand and he stood up and he said, "It's all well and good to give women power, but who will take care of the men if they're in power?" And that comment stayed with me because it just showed me so much about the culture of that country. So a year later, I come to Ukraine. I went to Kyiv, I went to Poltava. I had a really wonderful trip, as I said, to Kharkiv and did a training with Anna at Karazin University. And what I found in Ukraine was totally different. I found women who were hungry for leadership, hungry to be a louder voice in the politics and government and civil society of their country. So many women who are already really, really engaged. And the conversations that I had with these Ukrainian women has stayed with me, ever since. And when the war began, I felt so tangibly. I felt like it was happening to me because the women who I met felt so familiar to me. Like we had the same dreams, we had the same ideas about how we could change our countries for the better, and so Ukraine has been in my thoughts constantly for the last 2 months. We all know that women and children are the ones who suffer so acutely in any disaster. I mean, whether it's COVID-19 or war. And so this conversation today is so incredibly important, I think, because when we get women in positions of power, when women serve on, when women are in the room where discussions are being had about security issues and about diplomacy issues, then we know that the leadership decisions are stronger. We know that women are going to change things for the better because we bring such a unique, different perspective to everything, right? Because our life experiences are different from men. So I am thrilled to be here today. I am so honored. Thank you so much, Noelle and Anna, for inviting me. And I really am looking forward to the discussion. And I really hope that at the end of this, this panel that we will have a better understanding here in America of tangible ways that we can help. So thank you all so much. And I will turn it back over to Anna and Noelle.
I'll actually go ahead and take it from here. Good morning, everyone here in the States, and good evening or good afternoon if you're calling in from anywhere else in the world. My name is Rachel Yakubashvili, and I'm the Director of Media for the DC Student Consortium on Women, Peace, and Security. And I just wanted to briefly talk about the work that we do and what our purpose here is. And really it is to bring the gender context into the Women, Peace, and Security agenda and to complicate the narratives when we talk about these subjects. And so our frameworks are conflict prevention, conflict management, and post-conflict reconstruction. And what we do is we provide spaces for youth in our capacity. That means college-aged students and into these conversations to talk about difficult subjects. And part of that is content-specific events. So for example, what we're doing here today, and then also we've had previous events on global gender policy in North Macedonia and the Western Balkans and different subjects as well. We also host social events and networking events so that people interested in this subject can meet one another, network with one another, learn from one another, and grow together. And then we also have celebrations and observances. Our biggest one every year is the International Women's Day celebration. And we did also host some programming this April around Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We are an entirely youth-run organization. All events are planned by and feature youth voices. And we also have a publication arm where we uplift youth voices who are writing policy memos, policy briefs, op-eds, and all sorts of contributions to the literature around women, peace, and security and gender issues when it comes to security and foreign affairs. And so our biggest interest here today, and really with the entire war in Ukraine, is to make sure that gender diverse voices and youth are included in the conversation and in the peace building process that we so hope will happen soon. So with that, I'm gonna open the panel and turn it over to Anna Harus, who is the director of NGO Enlightening Initiative.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Noel, Susanna. We are very happy that you supported us to conduct this event. We, NGO Enlightening Initiative, have been doing humanitarian work since the first days of the full-scale invasion war. We have done a lot. We have gained some important contacts in Ukraine of professionals in various fields who together with us have also helped a lot of Ukrainians and within their organizations solely as well. You can see on this slide the picture of Ukraine, the live map as of 3rd of April, which I took from an open source, and it displays the zones which have been occupied temporarily and which are temporarily uncontrolled by Ukrainian authorities. And some of them already have been liberated as for now, but this is for you to see the scale of invasion. And you can see that our speakers are coming and are located in various regions of Ukraine, close to the war zone and in the west of Ukraine, and they work remotely also. I personally come from Kharkiv, as already was mentioned, but currently located in the west. And in the right corner, you can see the comparison of the size of Ukraine to the US states. On the right, you can see beautiful cities of Ukraine, where we come from, the speakers, and which now unfortunately look different. Not so beautiful, but still staying strong and powerful. Next slide. From my perspective, will speak about the non-profit sector in Ukraine, and our organization is an example of a non-profit youth organization in Ukraine, which has switched to humanitarian aid during the war.
Hello.
Hello, Oksana. This is one of our panelists. Our organization has has switched, as I said, to humanitarian aid, and I think it is a common story for many Ukrainian organizations and professionals, those who have done a lot of different various projects before. They felt the need and commitment to do humanitarian work. And before the war, our organization did some projects with the US Embassy Kyiv. We did technical administration. We implemented artificial intelligence solutions into educational projects. We employed them for youth employability, youth career development. And you can see the photos to the left. But they all paused because of the war. And what I want to highlight is that for every youth and every nonprofit organization during the war, it is important to constantly adjust to the everyday needs. And if you start from one side of humanitarian aid, you may end with another aspect next week, because the situation is constantly changing. Obviously, the needs are changing, and it is like with any business, it's you need to adjust to be effective, to effectively help people. So we are successfully managing it, I think, and which I'm proud of. We started from on the first day because of our strong IT expertise. We established a digital management system of humanitarian aid for a charity foundation in Lviv, and which are our partners. So we set up CRM system and also a logistics system, and this helped us and our partners, many other organizations, to deliver humanitarian aid from foreign partners, from Poland and other EU countries in huge amounts. It was delivered to Lviv, and then it was distributed in all around Ukraine. Later, simultaneously, we were looking for funds and budget to provide humanitarian aid in kind to our local volunteers. We have a lot of young people who are volunteers within our organization, whom we knew before the war for already 5 years, even more. And these are people, they were located in many regions around Ukraine, and they were staying there, and they were saying, we need medicine, we need the food, we have to provide this hospital with this list of medicine, or we have to, there are people in the bomb shelters, we are delivering food to them, there are women and children in the hospitals, we deliver food and medicine. So we had this daily request, and we understood that we need budgeting, and we need to satisfy this request as much as we can. So we found grants, small grants from foreign partners. We found donations, and we on a daily basis, apart from digital management of humanitarian aid, worked on finding funds for humanitarian needs all around Ukraine. And you can see there is some statistics on the slide and some photos of what we delivered, food, medicine, utility items, clothes. And our organization originates from Kharkiv. So most of our network is located in Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Dnipro, Donetsk, Luhansk regions in the east and southeast of Ukraine. And these are the frontline regions which are in need of help and which we continue helping. So I want to highlight that we are continuing our work, and we also started producing even combat application tourniquets, replicas, of course, for paramedics, which stop the flow of blood. And apart from this, we also do local volunteering in the West and a lot of things on a daily basis, which is important to do now, because you cannot do just one thing now and you cannot continue doing your previous projects also only. Although we are trying to still continue previous projects on youth employability and to help young people build their lives apart from besides volunteering. So my advice would be, if you are in a non-profit sector, and I hope none of you will be in a situation when a war breaks out in your country, but in this situation, I would advise to do humanitarian work, even if it's outside your scope, because if you are really a civil society leader, a civil society organization, you need to serve your society, and the society currently needs humanitarian aid. And that's what we continue doing. And if you would like to support us, we would really be grateful for your support in any kind. And maybe with contacts, maybe with the context of businesses who want to help us purchase medicine, humanitarian goods. We are also setting up startups now to sell Ukrainian products and to actually support Ukrainian business which produces ready-to-eat meals. So our focus now is medicine and ready-to-eat meals. Yes, if when the war stops and humanitarian goods will be not in such a high demand, we will continue supporting Ukrainian families, children, and young people who suffered because of the war. And unfortunately, there will be a huge need of, medical treatment, highly specialized, because many people have become victims of this war. And we will direct our funds, donations to these people when the war stops, and no food or medicine will need to be purchased in kind in such huge amounts. With this, I end my introduction of our organization, and I want to introduce the next speaker. Please, next slide, who is Mažvydas Stundžia. It is the Chief Information Officer of Novus Ukraine Limited Liability Company. It's a large retail business in Ukraine, and it's also partially a foreign-owned business. And Mr. Stundžia will speak more about the business side of this war, how business is still operating in Ukraine and also simultaneously helping Ukraine. Novus has helped a lot of volunteers in Kyiv, including our volunteers, with the food. And please, Mr. Stundžia, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. So just good morning. I guess it's morning in the US. So a couple of words. Can you hear me, by the way? Is it okay? Okay. So couple of words about myself. So I am the Chief Information Officer of Novus, and I'm also a member of the management board of directors. We're making strategical and tactical decisions on a daily basis. I have graduated my hometown Vilnius University, which is not in Ukraine, it's in Lithuania. So, and I graduated economic studies, but the life has turned so that I am an IT guy. I work for Novus for 4.5 years already. Before Novus, I was also a Chief Information Officer in the biggest retail chain in Baltic states. So, okay, I can tell that I am kind of a retail IT guy. A little bit about Novus, who we are. So Novus is classical chain of grocery supermarkets of various sizes and various formats, starting from very small neighborhood convenience stores to large hypermarkets. Currently, no, not currently, but before the war, we were operating up to 100 shops. The size of our business is 600 million United States dollars. It is it's our annual revenues. So we are not, let's say, one of the biggest businesses in Ukraine, but we are one of the market leaders in Kiev and Kiev region, because this is our target market. So our market share is approximately 13% in Kiev and Kiev area. Nevertheless, we also have a couple of stores in other regions of Ukraine, but only a couple. So our, let's say, our main market is Kiev and Kiev regions. So we are a groceries retailer. We sell all food categories, starting from fresh produce, cereals, bread, beverages, frozen food, and so on and so on. And we also sell some non-food categories for the household. This is what we are, and also we are also present in the online market. And online business was also we started online business just a year before all the war started. So I would like now to tell you a little bit about what was happening from the business perspective when the war started, and what was our company doing for that, what kind of problems we faced, and so on. So what really happened when the war started from the business perspective? First very clear thing that let's say the market volume dropped immediately, which means our sales dropped 50%. And according to, let's say, to our knowledge, so the market, the retail market, the groceries retail market also dropped 50% in Kiev and Kiev region. When I am providing you these figures, I am comparing the February and March. And what is also interesting that the market, the groceries market, increased in the western regions of Ukraine. Of course, this is because of internal migration. What else happened? We had to close 23 stores during March because of various reasons. One of them is due to damages by bombings, due to impossibility to open the stores because of military actions in the neighborhoods. So we end up in March with 23 stores closed, which also impacted our business dramatically. What else happened in the war? So all the logistics nearly collapsed inside Ukraine. So one reason was that which impacted us directly. So we lost one of our warehouses. It was bombed during the war, and this particular warehouse was dedicated for frozen and deep frozen goods. And even now it is difficult to find the alternative warehouses for those categories. What else happened in logistics? So let's say the delivery and transportation of goods inside Ukraine was got very complicated because of road damages, because of roadblocks, because of dangers due to military actions. So it was difficult to deliver goods. What also was, let's see, what's happening with logistics is that it got very difficult to import goods from abroad. Again, due to the fact that it was, let's say, dangerous for the transportation companies to enter Ukraine. What else happened? For our employees, it was difficult to get to work because of the fact that, again, that logistics was collapsed, so the public transportation was also not functioning very well, and so on. So what we saw in the end of, let's say, as a result of our operations in March, that just like you said, we lost 50% of our sales. We lost nearly 55% of our customers. Yeah, and we have to close 23 stores. So what we were doing with that? What our actions were? So well, our target was to save business. So we were cutting costs heavily. So because, well, if you lose your revenues by 50%, you have to cut costs because otherwise you will drown. Okay, so we also freezed many projects which we started before the war to save money. What was also very important. So let's say we got in touch with city authorities because our city authorities organized some roundtables with retailers, with business people to discuss and make fast decisions based on the situation. So, and we also started communicating with our employees inside the company, because it is also very important for the employees to know what management thinks and what management is planning to do. Let's say, so it is now 2 months have passed since the war began, and now in Kiev we see a little bit of optimism. So we are already planning to reopen our closed stores, not all of them, but half of them during May. And we are also, we think that we have survived so far, and we are now thinking about developing our business further on. And our shareholder, our main shareholder is foreign. He is based in Lithuania, so he is determined to keep the business and to grow the business further on. What are my personal takeaways and experience about what is important and what everyone should be doing and should be ready in that kind of crisis is. So first of all, you will never get ready for such kind of a crisis. So you will never plan in advance all your actions. So what is most important, you have to be ready to make decision fast, to analyze the situation fast, and to react fast, because many things are changing. So some military actions are being, let's say, are taking place in some parts. You cannot open a store. Authorities are changing some regulations, and so on and so on. Then what else you have to be ready and to do very fast is to cut your internal bureaucracy, so that the decisions are being made fast and without unnecessary delays. The third thing, which is also very important, is you have to decentralize decision making, because the situation changes so fast. so it is impossible to make centralized decisions. So people, management, authority to make their own decisions. And the last thing, but not least, is you have to do the communication inside the company very clearly, so that everybody understands it as it should, because there is no time to think, rethink, and clarify. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Mr. Stinger. You can see actually on this slide to the left is the picture of a huge shopping mall in Kyiv. It was one of the most popular venues and one of the largest shopping malls, a favorite place for many Kyiv citizens, including myself. And you can see how it was destroyed in March, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of war. And this this shopping mall is connected to Novus. They were located there. So I just want to express my utmost respect to Novus as a business which is continuing to operate in Ukraine, and because especially your major shareholder is an EU citizen, it is foreign-owned business partially, which is determined to support Ukraine and continue operating here. So I will say one view from me to the DC audience: if you want to help Ukraine and help business in Ukraine, you can lobby for other foreign businesses to still be present in Ukraine, send humanitarian aid and invest in Ukraine, if not now, at least in the future. So I want to pass the floor to the next speaker, who is a university professor, and she is also a local volunteer in Ukraine, Ms. Varvara Petrosova. She kindly agreed to speak on behalf of her university and her volunteer team. My organization has connected the team at Zaporizhia University on the first weeks, and we are constantly helping with small amounts of medicine, some food, ready-to-eat meals, and we are determined to continue doing so. And Varvara represents one of the most reliable volunteers currently who still work on the front line. Varvara, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm very happy just to be with you. I'm Varvara Petrosova, the head of Foreign Languages Intensive Study Center and senior lecturer at the Department of Foreign Philology of Zaporizhia National University, an educational and scientific center of Zaporizhia region, and one of the most famous and classical universities of Ukraine, having more than 10,000 of students and almost 1,400 research and teaching employees. So before the war, I had a normal life, having my administrative work, lessons with my students, meetings with my colleagues, just simple plans for the future. But on the 24th of February, everything changed, and fear, suspense, and expectations have settled in my heart, and no one and never is ready for the war, and those period was extremely difficult for all people. And from the first days, all lessons at the university and our courses, they were stopped, but all our technical services, university security, and some strategic structural units of the university university, they continued working in order just to provide universities proper functioning. And we terminated all promising areas of work, our plans, severed scientific and cultural ties with the counterparts from Belarus. Nevertheless, the educational process has been restarted at the university on the 28th of March, because we believe that our students, even in this difficult time, must obtain qualified educational services. And that was very difficult but right decision. Universities, staff and students in this difficult period struggle to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of our country in the armed forces of Ukraine and the territorial defense forces. So almost 20 male lecturers and students joined the army since February. 209 international students went home. They were mainly from Morocco, Nigeria, Tunisia, and other countries. The war affects both men and women in our region and university community in general. The staff almost in our university consists of 65% of women, and now 133 people left their homes and they now abroad. 23 people from the staff of the university, they are on the occupied territories, and almost 1,200 students left abroad. University implemented international academic mobility for students and postgraduate students who can't continue their education at the universities, or their own universities, because of the war. So these students can study online according to the programs of our university, having the full access to the informational resources, our e-library and platforms of the university. And also, I must mention that from the first days of the war, our university helps. For example, we have got the faculty of social pedagogics and psychology, and the group of professionals from this faculty, they organized free consulting for all people who need it. So internally displaced people, students, all students, not only our university, but the students of our city, professors, lecturers. And university must care not only about its first task, yes, that is to educate and conduct research, but also to carry on its public duty to help war-affected families. So from the first days of the war, we organized the volunteer center of our university, and where I became a volunteer. And we are the group of initiative lecturers and students, and we work and help there. We help internally displaced people, hospitals, the elderly and disabled people, and mainly every day we help 200 and 300 people, and during these 2 months we helped almost about 4,000 people, and mainly 90% of people who come to our volunteer center, they are women with children, and from occupied territories. We also organize food and necessary goods delivery to people in need on these occupied territories. And in spite of the fact that we do our best to help, but we lack finances and some food, some hygiene and other goods. The problems that the university faces nowadays, the most important, that is Now we have got our online education, and the greatest problem that is the internet access, because 30% of our students now, they are on occupied territories where they have even no light at all, no food, no light, so no internet. And in this case, all our teachers, all our lecturers, they organized some individual approach for to every student. They organized some special tasks for them if they can't just have their online meetings with the teacher. Also, the greatest problem, that is the finances, because 75% of the university financing, that is comes from the payments from the students, and now students can't pay for their education because they don't have such opportunity, and also that is about the motivation. Yes, so the problem, that is motivation of students nowadays, and the psychological state, psychological problems that we all face, and also that is about maybe some kind of advice that I can just say. I think the most important nowadays just to be united, and I can say that all the staff of our university, all the students, I even couldn't imagine how united are we. So we try to be together to help. I am very grateful to the management of our university, and really to all my colleagues, because even colleagues who are nowadays not in Zaporizhia, in other cities of Ukraine and even abroad, they organize humanitarian aid for our center. They organize some food and medicine, some clothes, and they just help to deliver that to our volunteer center in order for us just to help the people. And also, that is maybe the most important, to stay within the chosen life path. Yes, and try not to go beyond the peaceful life. Of course, that is to not let your emotions take over. Yeah, because when we are in despair, we are depressed and do nothing. And also, that is to support who are near you, especially who are psychologically weaker. And as the teacher, the advice is just to go deeper really into the work, because it distracts you from all the problems. So that is the situation that we have at the university now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Varvara, for shedding a light onto a higher education state in Ukraine now. It's really terrifying and shocking to watch the pictures of actually university building, a classical university being flooded with humanitarian aid, IDPs. So it's completely a different mood now at university, not like usual. And so, yeah, we hope we will hear probably at the Q&A sessions more about this, how you are dealing with this. I want to pass the word to our next speaker, who is Dr. Vadim Aristov. He will speak about the important healthcare sector, crucially important during the war, and among our audience, future policy professionals will can get useful experience on how to effectively manage healthcare sector during the war. Please, Vadim.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and Good morning to everyone. My name is Vadim Aristov, and I am infection disease doctor. I had a training also in the United States in the University of Rochester, and later in CDC in Atlanta, Georgia. So I had a big international experience with some research presented in international congresses. And finalizing my study in the United States, I had already two proposals for workplaces, but I chose to come back to Ukraine and to organize the prosperity of Ukrainian health sector by starting new initiatives of my NGO that was created while I was a medical student. So I'm co-founder of Ukrainian Medical Association, which have organized the education for 30,000 of Ukrainian doctors. And in 2013, part of my team with me created a think tank called Revival Institute, which is think tank of Ukrainian Medical Association. And we started doing not education, but like congresses, what we were organizing under Ukrainian Medical Association. But we started a different policy creation. We worked for supporting Governor Saakashvili in Odessa region and managed the whole Odessa region healthcare system. Later, we worked for creation of primary healthcare reform for Ministry of Health and for rural healthcare reform for President Poroshenko. And actually later we consulted candidate Zelensky when he was a candidate for president position and was very interested in each sector as well as healthcare. So we had huge understanding how healthcare sector works. And when the war started, we had an immediate town hall meeting of our team, and we started brainstorming how can we help to support the whole country, to support doctors, and of course to support our patients. So we decided to restart our initiative called StingMD. Now it's on the website stingmd.org.ua. It is like advocacy initiative when we call towards international medical community and international researchers to bring into action the sanctions against invaders. Because all doctors have some influential patients that they can be called by horizontal lines. And actually, as we see now, only horizontal lines are something that works, because the response of national governments and supranational structures like NATO, like EU, WHO, United Nations, and so on, all this response was very slow and very small. While and President Zelensky felt it, that is why he started to speak directly with people and directly with parliaments, because only forcing some structures from below is something that really works. And you see only upon like 2 months, we just started to gain some heavy weapons that we really needed from the first day, and these heavy weapons will come into force under some research and predictions. They will come into force only in June, July, unfortunately. So it's a huge delay and all this period of time depend on work of volunteers and work of those Ukrainians that still stay on their workplace and try to do something even more than they can do previously. So healthcare sector continues to work. Speaking about gender aspect, its healthcare system is very depends, of course, of women, because like 2/3 of staff in healthcare sectors are women, because it's very it's a sector with lots of social work and lack of payment, unfortunately. So we have many hospitals that were shelled. Some of them were even destroyed. Unfortunately, those territories that appear under occupation, they face a total disruption because all these logistical chains are totally stopped, and only very brave volunteers try to bring some stuff there. And very often we see that medical staff is even deported by Russian troops to somewhere on Russian territory. So it's a dangerous situation, and we will continue to look what is going on. Again, some ambulance cars were captured and used for captured flag operations by Russian troops. So when this ambulance just tries to come somewhere in the middle of Kiev, for example, with Russian soldiers inside. So it's all these things that I just covered, they are out of international law, out of Geneva Conventions, but again, Russia continues to work to move forward with without any international rules. And even this night, the hospital inside Mariupol plant, where many of civilians stay, and many Ukrainian soldiers, defenders still stay underground. This hospital was bombed a lot, with destroying some operating rooms, and some rooms where wounded people stayed. So again and again, healthcare sector appears under attack, and it is even said that it is the #1 target, because among Russian army, it is like a rule that if you kill one soldier, then you just kill one soldier. But if you kill a doctor, then you are killing like 30, 40 Ukrainian soldiers. So unfortunately, all ambulances, all field hospitals are the #1 target. So what we created the StingMD petition and initiative, which called for advocacy from international doctors and researchers. We received lots of such advocacy support. And next, we created a network of these active international citizens, and we continue to pursue some programs that try to bring necessary resources to frontline hospitals. We created a program called LifeVest 5. It is on our website, which says that we need to bring a 5-day supply to frontline hospitals, because when they face some shellings, some unusual war activity nearby, then they receive lots of victims, and they can't take care for them because there are lack of supply, because there is no logistical chain that was there previously, and just volunteers try to restock, but volunteers are always have lack of resources. It is a very unpredictable, fragmented activity. So we really need to we really need international community to become a real world, or to become a working economics, which brings supply. And now we created this Life West 5 program, which created a list of 22 hospitals where the supplies is needed, and inventory list what supplies are needed, because we see that in this chaotic situation, many doctors are asking for different needs. Some lists are outdated, they are unmeasured. So we created measured lists, how much ampoules, how much liters, pieces of everything should be brought, like IV solutions, antibiotics, anesthesia drugs, some tubes, syringes. So it's nothing about expensive equipment. It's just general basic stuff that really saves lives. And we share this inventory list with all volunteer hubs in Ukraine, with all international foundations working in Ukraine. So we are happy that such NGOs like Enlightening Initiative, who invited us and who are our partner, serving some really heavily shelled hospitals in the eastern Ukraine. We are very happy that with such brave people we can scale our expertise, and we can really to increase impact of any resources that are put to Ukraine. So inside, during the war, we need not just aid, we need a smart aid, being targeted, measurable, and on time. So the advice that I can provide for anyone who appear in such situation, I hope that you will not be in the same situation, but if you are prepared, then you can continue to work on your mission. So the number one advice is to manage resources and priorities, because when something is changed, then you really need to increase impact of something that you can do and something that you can extend by your team. And you really need to understand what is number one priority, and you need to target exactly to it. And of course, you need to support your people psychologically, by money, by some management. You need to decentralize anything that you can, as the previous speakers have said, because usually people on their side are knowing better what to do. But as a top management, as senior executives, you need to show them a vector, what we mission we have, what target we want to achieve, and what support can we provide from the central situation. So I thank you for everyone for your attention. Really, your support is crucial for Ukraine, because 1/3 of people in Ukraine have lost their places to live, needed to go either abroad or to Western regions. So our economics does not work properly. Lots of losses and lots of workplaces just stopped. So we really need Western countries to be a real reward for Ukraine, for taking care for our patients, and for helping doctors help patients. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vadim. I want to mention that this Life West 5 list program, which Vadim has mentioned, is really helping Ukrainian volunteers who do not have either pharmaceuticals or medicine education to supply and purchase the medicine which is necessary for Ukrainian hospitals, for citizens under siege siege, because you cannot buy just anything in the pharmacy, even if you have a humanitarian budget. And it really helps. And I hope in the Q&A we will hear more about your experience and initiatives. Next slide was supposed to be our speaker, Ksana Nechiporenko, who represents a really huge charity foundation in Ukraine. She unfortunately cannot speak, cannot attend, but this is just an example of a foundation, Masha Foundation, which helps Ukrainian children and women, we will, I hope we will conduct joint projects because our organization has already started doing protection programs with EU partners from Italy, and our protection programs will be directed on women, children, including women and children and other vulnerable groups. Next slide. I would like to summarize what you have heard from us really briefly, how you can help. You can provide humanitarian or financial aid. This would be the fastest right way to help. Medicine, ready-to-eat meals are the sharpest needs and priorities for our NGO, Enlightening Initiative. But you are also welcome to visit the websites of our partners, whom you can see in the right upper corner, and help them directly with the needs that are advertised on their websites. And yes, you can also provide opportunities, job or educational opportunities for Ukrainians. Your organizations, your business contacts. You can connect us with your business contacts, with your network, and those organizations who are helping Ukraine already or are looking for some small local initiatives which our NGO is supporting. And we can provide like direct specific aid in different amounts. So if you know some organization which is looking for this, we would be thankful if you connect us to them. And yeah, you can donate obviously, and once again to both us and our partners. And my concluding remark would be that every person can do some small thing to help Ukraine in this war. And if you do even a small thing, it already helps. It is a huge help. And our NGO is really, it's a small one. It's, I would say, even local, but I am sure we have done a lot. And this is just because we want to do this, and we work non-stop and have the desire to help. So if you really want to help, just connect to us, and we will figure a way how to do this. And also, if someone from Ukraine is watching us, you are welcome to volunteer for us and actually join our team and join our efforts. So I'm passing the word to the American friends and organization who has hosted us for the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Anna, and all of our panelists here today. I think I speak on behalf of most of the Americans here on the call when I say that this was incredibly helpful to understand the situation on the ground, to answer questions that we don't necessarily get from our media in America. We have heard so much about how to send supplies to neighboring countries like Poland and Moldova and Hungary, and helping people who are fleeing, but not necessarily how to help people who are on the front lines and on the ground. So thank you so much for providing that perspective. On that note, I would love to open with a question to the panelists, and this is a reminder to the audience as well to use the Q&A as we're going to move into audience questions in just a moment. But I did want to pose a question to the panelists here. What do you hope that the American and Western audience understands about the conflict, understands about your work that might be missing from international media? And if there's any other ways that we can help you directly, please put that in the chat and speak it out loud.
I can just start very briefly. It feels like the society in the West is getting tired of the Ukraine topic, and it is proved by like less flow of humanitarian aid, which is coming now compared to the first weeks of war, obviously, and it is understandable. But this is something that is happening. So it's just important to attend such events, I would say, and just keep updated. Do not like track the news, the depressed news, if you do not want to get frustrated by those news, but just keep updated on what organizations are doing, like what exactly is being done in Ukraine to address, because our people really do a lot. Everyone is a volunteer, as I mentioned, and just you can watch these efforts, and this is how you will know how specifically you can help and what to advocate in your countries. Maybe someone else wants to add something from our panelists.
I may add that our STING-MD initiative, as I told, it was targeted, first it was targeted to impose more sanctions. And still we see that many of such work is not done, especially from communities that do not depend from national governments. It means that, for example, universities, they can impose their own sanction by putting away any collaboration, any grants, any joint articles with Russian and Belarusian researchers and doctors. The same could be about PhD programs that can still be continued only if the person have some signed declarations that he is not supporting the action of Russian government, so on. So only showing that civilization does not continue to work with representatives of countries that is terrorist, invader, and aggressor. Only with many of such signs we can stop the war, and we can bring more power to opposition inside Russian Federation and inside just general population of Russia. Thank you.
Well, guys, I just also want to add a little bit. So I want that everybody in America and not in America should know and understand that this war will not go away by itself. Well, it will not be stopped by Russia. So there is the only way to end this war is to make sure that Ukraine is much stronger in military terms than Russia. And I think that U.S. society understands that. And I can see from the last things what U.S. government is doing to help Ukraine that they're doing well. So my also wish to American society, vote for those who help Ukraine. Okay, thank you.
Righty, we do have a question actually for you, Mr. Struja, from Allison. How is the agricultural sector adapting to the loss of the spring harvest?
I'm not sure because I don't know about agricultural sector. Well, maybe someone from my company who works in the commercial department knows that, but I cannot comment on that. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. We have
I can add on this. I don't know the exact statistics, but I have been tracking the Ministry of the Economy website this month. And they say that they are adjusting and they are doing the harvest, just harvesting the area, just there will be the loss, but they are very optimistic and they say they will cope with that. So this is the updates from our side. I actually expected that the agriculture questions could be of interest, and for this we will actually conduct another event which is dedicated to economics and to business speakers. It will happen on May 5th. And hosted by the University of Lille in France. And we will have a speaker who is the president of the Ukrainian Agribusiness Club. So they know everything about agriculture. And so you are welcome to track our social media and join this event to learn more about the economics side of the war.
I may add, as director of Revival Institute, we're doing lots of strategy, not only in healthcare. So there were some numbers that Ukraine by now constricted only on 30% the squares under agricultural cultures. So it may give predictions that there will be no hunger exactly in Ukraine, but unfortunately it could influence a lot of impact on the globe, because many many countries depend on Ukrainian products which were exported. By now almost all export is stopped because of blockade of sea routes. And just adding more numbers about sanctions. By now, it was told that Ukraine was provided with military aid of around $8 billion. But Russian Federation receives money from exporting oil and gas, $1 billion per day. So unfortunately, comparing what Russia gets to produce more weapon and what Ukraine is given for defending, it's incomparable. It's like 8 days of Putin's economics.
We have another question in the chat from Raja Atali, who is a member of the CSWG, and acknowledging that we did lose our gender specialist at the very end of the event, but I still thought it was an important question. How can we promote more women's participation in the peace efforts in Ukraine? And if anyone wants to answer that question.
Yeah, I can add. So as I mentioned, my NGO is launching protection programs for vulnerable groups in Ukraine, and we are going to go deeper in this topic in the specialized programs with specialized partners from both the EU and in Ukraine. So I think I wrote down the email which is in this chat, and I suggest that we connect after the event to figure out what programs we can do on this topic and what regions to cover. And I would be more than happy, because we aim to effectively help vulnerable groups, not only with the humanitarian aid, but also the programs which will benefit them in the long run in the future when the war ends also.
Suzanne, I don't know if you wanted to say anything on this subject. I know it's a little bit closer to your heart.
Yeah, I mean, really what I was going to say is, and I was actually just typing this out in the chat, is that, you know, we do trainings that are meant to make women feel agency, to make them understand how to use their voice and to use their power to help other people. Just listening to you all speak, it seems like right now what is needed in Ukraine is medical care and food and a safe place to live. And so I feel like, and Anna, you said this, that maybe right now is the time for money going towards that, and that but later helping women to, because there's going to be a lot of rebuilding to be done, helping women to gain that power and have that strong voice to help Ukraine move into the future. But in any way that Running Start can help, we are all eager to do so. So when it comes time for those trainings, or we'll be there, and we would love to do something with any and all of you.
Yeah, so I agree, and we will. We of course also made a kind of survey last week on the needs in various regions of Ukraine, and yeah, the first priorities now are like some material items, shelter, but simultaneously we have wrote down the topics for further project, and we will start launching something gradually, and we will start from information campaigns on the rights and on the possibilities to receive counseling, aid, trainings. So this is what we will start doing soon.
That was beautiful, thank you. I think that I wanted to go back briefly as we're wrapping up here, and if again the audience has any last questions, please put them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll ask them of the panel. But I think going back to what Anna mentioned about the kind of fatigue about talking about war, at least in the United States and in the networks that we're in, we were all hands on deck on Afghanistan in October of 2021, and then in February 2022 things shifted immensely with a focus on Ukraine. And there is this feeling of fatigue, but that doesn't mean that we can stop talking about it. That doesn't mean that we can stop helping. And so I wanted to ask the panel to just talk a little bit about what keeps you hopeful, what keeps you going, and looking forward and thinking about a moment when the war itself can be over and we do come to the rebuilding process. What are you hopeful for, and what do you want to see?
So I might tell my, let's say, my mind. So what keeps us going is the hope that everything will be okay. Well, the second very important thing that we can see that the Ukrainian people and Ukrainian society, they are very strong people and very freedom-loving people, and that is what makes us also optimistic. So this is, let's say, from let's say kind of feeling side, and just when we read the news from the let's say military news, we also see that some let's say some shifts are let's say are happening in favor of Ukraine. So and many experts, military experts, also say that Ukraine will win. Thank you.
I'm happy that Mr. Stunja spoke first, because who else, if not a partially foreign-owned business representative, would speak about the optimism of being and working in Ukraine. But yeah, I will want other panelists to say their words on this also, because I have already said a lot.
So maybe I can say that, really hope for future is keeping us going. And we, as teachers, we really want to have the normal life, normal just lessons with our students, because we really lack that. And we all hope that all our workers and women who just are abroad now, saving their children, they will come back, and we will have our real normal life, and just we are ready to build and rebuild our country, and especially just to support our educational system.
For me, something that brings more power and more hopes is something that more people will become active in Ukraine and will have some military experience or volunteering experience. So the problems that we had previously, when the national elites were just passive, corruptive, and past looking, and some new elites that were raised just by international aid and were not so effective and future looking. We'll have some active citizens that will take their responsibility inside government and will be responsibly voting on the next elections. So we will have just totally new country with lots of Western equipment, Western activities, initiatives, rebuilding itself from the beginning.
Thank you all so much. I think that was lovely to hear from you all. I'm going to hand it over to Noelle for one last question and some closing remarks.
Yeah, and Rachel and Anna, thank you guys so much. It's been an honor to work with both of you over the last few weeks in planning this event, and it's been wonderful to hear from all of our panelists today. I had one more question, and as a university student, I really wanted to ask Varvara this, but how, as university students in the United States, can we make sure that we're supporting university students in Ukraine? And if anything that you think would help, we want to make sure that we're sharing with our networks.
So I think that the most important now really to have support, even some kind of communication with our students, because most of them really are in some bad psychological condition, especially those who are on occupied territories with no supplies at all. And also I think that it's better just to have maybe some kind of programs, not like exchange, and now it's maybe not so possible, yeah, but some kind of educational, I mean, some educational maybe courses or something like that, or maybe sharing the experience of students of the USA, and maybe our students also can share their situations. I think it's nice to speak more about that, about the problems, really, problems of the education that we have now.
Thank you so much. And we'll be sure to share everything that we can with you, as well as share our student organization. And now I guess I've been tasked with closing remarks. I just want to say again, thank you for everyone who was able to come. You know, like I said at the beginning, when we launched the DC Student Consortium last year, we really wanted to create a space where we were connecting practitioners, students, and academics in the space of women, peace, and security. And it truly is such an honor that Anna and you all trusted us as a safe and communicative space to talk about such a pressing issue. So again, thank you so much. And thank you to all who were in attendance. Rachel has recorded the event, so we will be posting it on our website, which is wpsconsortium.org. It's undergoing construction right now, so just bear with it. We'll be posting the recording in the next week or so. But again, thank you all.
Thank you, Noelle, and thank you all the panelists for taking your time to speak. And thank you, the audience. Just send us any questions that you have. We are open, and thank you for support to Ukraine.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Good day, everyone.